Hi and welcome to D&H Canada headquarters. I'm Robert Dutt of ChannelBuzz.ca, and with me is Greg Tobin, GM of D&H Canada. Greg, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Robert.
It's hard to believe your most recent born is turning 5. It's as we sit down to do this interview, we're just a few days away from the official 5th anniversary celebration. I wanted to kind of start off by going back a little bit and talking about those early days. I kind of have this image in my head of one of the brothers Schwab calling you up and saying, "We got this great mission we're planning." How did you actually come to be involved with D&H?
We had actually met, Michael and myself had met on a couple of conferences. I believe it was a Seagate conference, a Maxtor conference, and finally an Intel conference. And finally, we were actually on a golf cart together and talking about the Canadian market. And we just seemed to hit it off very, very well with each other. And D&H it was not a question of if they were going to come to Canada, it was when they were going to come to Canada.
Right.
They had been talking about it for the last 10 years at their executive level, but with the level of success that they were having in the U.S., they were just too committed to the growth that they were doing down there, and they needed that catalyst or stimulus, someone that could take it, the idea, and run with it in Canada, and that was myself. But they have been extremely supportive. I would say that I've had the privilege of working with 3 great companies in my career. My only regret is that I did not find D&H a little earlier in my career. But to that point, I might not have had all the experience necessary to do everything that's required to set up a company and successfully grow the people and take it to the level of support that a great company like D&H is capable of doing. So it's been a great partnership. I love working with this company. The customers love the experience that they're getting, and that's just a testament in the results that we're seeing after 5 years.
Those early days, let's talk about those a little bit. I think when the idea of D&H Canada was first announced, and when you first started 5 years ago in July, there was some nationality, some concern. Canada's over-distributed. All of these things that we've heard so many times. What was your reaction to that then?
I actually did not hear any of that in the first year because I was so committed to doing the right things and driving the business. I was convinced that there was a right model in the Canadian market that was required. I saw that in the area of focus, which was the SMB customers, there was a need to take care of those customers, and there was a need to help them grow their business. And I truly believe that the value add of the D&H model was going to succeed in the Canadian market because that was lacking at that point in time. So, true, we opened the door with a little over 20 vendors. And at that point in time, the only customers that had the privilege of having the D&H experience were buying product from the U.S.
Right.
and importing it into Canada and acting as their own importer of record. 5 years later, we now have over 200 vendors that we represent and over 3,000 active customers that we sell to that are experiencing that D&H advantage. So it tends to grow, and they become the best level of marketing for the experience in itself because, as they say, a happy customer will tell 2, an unhappy customer will tell 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they are the best word of mouth and best representation. It's a testament to what we're trying to accomplish here and what we've been achieving in Canada.
The first day you open, I'm sure there was all of this, this faith and this confidence that this thing was going to grow, but still there has to be that moment of looking at the phone and going, "If we built it, will they come?" What was it like getting those first phone calls? You seem to be reading my mind.
We opened the door. We did a press release, as you remember. It was the day before. We did the press release. And we had done some testing orders with customers, and we were doing it and very confidentially. It wasn't until 10:30 the first day that we took our first order, and we thought to ourselves, oh my gosh, it's going a little too slow. We ended that day, I think we probably had 20 to 30 orders that very first day. Now we look at it and we're seeing 2,000 to 3,000 orders per day going out the door, and it just continues to grow. But you're absolutely right. With anything new, there is a level of anxiety. But I always say, forget the anxiety, forget the fear, believe. And if you believe, that is half the battle. If you believe you have a great product and a great level of service, you know that people are going to come to it. It's like building a new mousetrap. People are going to come.
So you had the belief, you had the 20 to 30 orders a day. At what point between those 20 and 30 orders a day and the 2,000 to 3,000 a day did you kind of have the data to say, you know what, this is going to sustain the belief?
Yeah, it continued to build. And I would say what we've done here is we celebrate milestones on the ones. Okay. What I mean by that is the first of something or the 11th of something, we celebrate. I would say that, when our first $1 million day, and that happened in November 2010, that was pretty convincing that we knew that we would arrive. Right. Our first $11 million month that we did, and that was in March 2012. We realized that this is building very nicely, and it's got the level of support that is required in the community, and it is a legitimate offering. When I look back at some of the milestones that we saw, I know Cisco, bringing on board Cisco in December of 2008, that was a huge verification of our SMB purpose, because they had not brought on any distributors in well over 10 years. Yeah. And D&H Canada was brought on board to focus on their SMB requirements, and Cisco was very committed to growing SMB products and their market. They had come to market with purpose-built product for the SMB, yet the SMB community perceived it to be heavy iron, only the stuff that would be sold to the telcos. So we had to go out and educate all the SMB players that this is the purpose-built product. It's a great product, it's a great program. You need to make the investment, you need to become certified and grow through their ecosystem to grow that type of business. And the testament to that was a little over 3 years later, in April of 2011, to be awarded the Global Distributor of the Year for SMB by Cisco for D&H. That was just the icing that we were on the right thing. It wasn't just about the revenue growth, it was about the number of brand new customers that we were bringing to the experience and growing that through. Doing the same thing with HP. HP, we launched with their Smart Buy products in December of 2009. And to this point, we've been able to continue to grow their business for their smaller SMB players that have not been using HP products as their primary. The following year, in October the 1st, doing the same, starting up with Lenovo with their top seller products. And once again, focusing on the SMB and the small customer. And if you remember what our focus was, it's SMB customers, typically 2 to 5 man shops. Their focus is 19 seats and less. Yep. And it typically it's a doctor's office, it's a lawyer's office, it's an accounting office. It's all the things that make up Canada. We are a country of SMB. We're not necessarily just a country of large corporate transportation pipeline companies. All the new jobs that are being created in Canada are happening in SMB right now. So D&H is extremely well positioned for that growth. And for those that did not believe, well, it's unfortunate that they've been proven wrong. For those that maybe you were too stupid to to realize that they couldn't fail, such as myself. And D&H and their commitment, it just proves that if you service the customer, if you go above and beyond, if you are an extension of their sales force and you go to bat for them, because in any partnership there will be challenges. When you think of your personal partnerships, there will be challenges. The strength of that partnership is, what does the person do when there is a speed bump or there is an issue? How do they take care of you? Whether it could be an installation that's happening and maybe a cable is missing. And that's a simple piece of product. But at time of install, it becomes a critical link to that project. So D&H does things such as we'll air freight that, because we know that that's important to that type of an installation. That's the level of confidence that we want to build and work towards. And building towards that is what we're going to accomplish.
All right. You mentioned sort of the intangibles, or those kinds of intangible things, and how important they are. When we were talking in your early days and years, you know, the big metric on which we talked a lot was obviously the number of VARs signed up.
Yes.
Because at the time that was what mattered. You know, going from 0 to 1,000 VARs, buying from on a regular basis, huge deal. What are the metrics that you hold most closely today?
We still do the same type of metrics. We still measure the number of brand new VARs that come on board. That is now tracking in the 40 to 70 range per month of brand new VARs that are signing up. But what we also want to make sure is that they're signing up and they're purchasing on a frequent basis, because that's what you want to be able to do. You don't want to have your customers shopping all around. You want to be able to make sure that they're coming to you as a trusted supplier so that they can do what they do, which is take care of their customers, and we do what we do, which is take care of the back end and supply chain for them. And if we've got that type of a measurement and success ratio, then it builds the trust. So one of the things that we measure is, of the customers that come on board, how frequently are they purchasing? Those are very important measurements for us. It's a measure of loyalty, and we call it activation, frequency, and also just the loyalty portion of it.
Right.
So we want to make sure that it's not just purchase something every 30 or 40 days. It's, if they need something, are we the trusted advisor that they turn to to place the order with? And to that matter, we've got great people, and we've got award-winning websites that everyone indicates is just one of the major reasons that we do business. One of the things you'll find with a small SMB reseller is they do work through the day. They'll often place their orders at night.
Yeah.
So when we come in the morning, we'll have a backlog of orders that have been placed overnight on our websites. And those are things that we fulfill and ship out that day. And our commitment is that any orders placed before 5:30 that day will ship. That's a pretty good commitment to serving the market.
Okay. As we approach the 5th anniversary, and as we're at the 5th anniversary, what are the next frontiers for D&H Canada? What are you thinking about? What are you doing now to to take those next steps?
There's several areas. We're going to continue to reinvent ourselves in terms of products that we do. One of the focuses that we've always had, we said we wanted to be a full line distributor, not a broad line distributor. So we never want to have oversaturate ourselves in any categories. So we want to make sure we've got the right partners in each of the categories, and if a category is not as strong as it needs to be, we want to continue to grow that. Areas that we think we are very, very strong and dominate on, computer systems, very, very solid. Our networking and VoIP area, incredible growth. So in our computer systems growth, we've had over 40% growth. Networking and VoIP, over 40% growth last year. Our total combined revenue growth was over 31% last year. We're going to continue to work on those categories to refine them, to make sure that all of our categories are performing solidly and are up in that range. We're going to continue to look at mobility. We see this year coming forward as a year for, I would call it, consumerization of the enterprise. Mm-hmm. You're going to find that BYOD is going to be the talk of the town, because it's going to be the IT managers will no longer be able to say, I want to restrict that device in my environment. It's going to be, okay, I'm going to have to let that device in, but I might want to look at restricting applications on that device. Yep. So security, BYOD, very important. Mobility will have a lot of legs going forward. Something as simple as Apple going from 30-pin to 29-pin. You might, whether it's built-in obsolescence or not, but that will require a whole new level of product and sales to replenish that 29-pin offering. We also see Windows 8 as being a catalyst for change. Yeah. It's going to give new growth and new legs to the tablets, the non-Apple tablets. So in terms of where we're looking to develop and grow, we're going to stay true to SMB will be our growth. That's going to be the key focus for us. But in terms of products, we're looking to get adjacent products into our existing customer sets. Right. So we're going to look at computer products. In the U.S., our parent has several different divisions, and we're going to look at those divisions in Canada as well. Currently, right now in Canada, we're selling housewares products, mm-hmm. Home and outdoor equipment for our e-commerce partners, and that's an area that we're going to continue to do, looking at as the needs and demand of the Canadian consumer changes and grows. We want to be understanding that curve and offering the products. Our business will always be predominantly IT related. But as our customers change and their customers change, we want to be there for them as well, looking at other products. So,
you mentioned a couple of things I wanted to key on in there. First was the strength in computer systems. Mm-hmm. We'll call that endpoints as a broader terminology. I'm curious, as BYOD does set in, as it becomes something that's becoming increasingly de rigueur, how do you see that affecting the endpoint business for yourself and for your VAR customers, especially when more and more of these computing endpoint devices in the business are coming in the front door after being purchased over the weekend at Best Buy or
yeah. I see what you're saying, but in our SMB space, I think that threat or that change will happen much more at a corporate level than it will at a small office, home office. Because if you look at it, that's already happened there. Mm. And we still exist. Touché. They still require the products. They still require the services that they've got. How they're purchasing some of the products and the channels that they use have become a hybrid model. It's some of the purchases are now being purchased by e-tailers or e-commerce. Some of it is going through the direct marketing channels. Mm-hmm. Some of it is going through the conventional retail big box channels. And some of it is going through the solution provider channel. Because ultimately, when a small business sets up, they're looking to do what they do, their core competence. They don't necessarily want to understand security, infrastructure, the networks. All they want to do is take care of their customers and understand what they have to do. Sometimes we have a perception that because we are in the business, we assume that all of our end user customers know as much about what we do as we think they do. But that's not necessarily the case. I know a lot of people that set up businesses that are terrified of computers. They don't know what to do. And to that end, there will always be a need to be able to sell the most important thing, which is upstairs. It is how to prevent problems, how to troubleshoot. When things do go wrong, who do you turn to? Because that SMB business still has to take care of their customer and they don't have the time to learn everything there is about IT. So, yes, to your point, some of the BYOD devices will be bought and purchased in alternate channels, but how it operates will be.
We'll still see, and at the end of the day, it's still probably going to be the SMB space,
yes.
especially the VAR they're turning to make it all just work.
And just make it work in interoperability. The end user customer has this perception that everything must be seamless. And 5 years from now, it will be even more so. The expectation rises higher. We're not quite there yet, but we have VARs and solution providers that can make that happen for them. And that's what they really sell, is that solution.
All right. So 5 years, as this video is posted, it will probably be right around that date. You guys are running you're holding an event here, you're running some promos. Do you want to let us in on what's going on around the 5 year?
Sure. What we're doing is anyone who, any of our customers can hop onto www.D&H.ca, and they'll be made aware of all the promos that they've got. Just follow the links. But at a summary level, we'll have our 5th year anniversary. Will be here at July the 10th. We'll be hosting our local vendor partners, because they were the ones that helped us come on board. And we'll be honoring a couple of the very first customers that we had. So for our broad-based customers, in addition to the promos that will be offering by multiple vendors, each day next week, which will be July 9th and onward, we'll have a feature vendor, and that feature vendor will be giving out prizes for the day, very, very nice prizes, as well as their promotional discounts on the product. And those vendors next week will be Netgear, BenQ, Brother, Microsoft, and Sony. In addition to the other, all our other partners that will be offering it. So there's good value for all of our reseller customers, and we're looking forward to it being a great event. And if you can drop by, have a cup of coffee and a slice of cake, would be greatly appreciated.
Brilliant. Greg, congratulations on 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking the time.
Okay.